Hello everybody, I am Cyrus. I am here at the Sunset Station Hotel here in Henderson. And I just got to tell you what a lot of activism. I have been so active recently. I went to a healthcare, Medicare for All town hall with Amy Villiella, Dina Titus, Ruben Da Silva, all these other individuals. And then I was also at an event with Chris G. And then I was also another event with both parties. You saw congressional candidate Jeff Miller. You had just varieties of people. La Fada, he's running for, I believe, a statewide office. Not to mention you have just varieties of people, just on and on, talking about the most important issues, particularly housing prices, which is another topic I will get to in another video. And so, and I also saw Danny Tarkanian, believe it or not. I talked to him a very important issue about reducing the number of green cards and so forth. So what is really exactly happening today? And I want to talk about the major employers in Clark County, Wynn Resorts and MGM. Now, before I get to the buyout, I just read some articles that they are trying to bring in gender diversity. So now that Mr. Wynn has resigned about these allegations, now they want to diversify the workplace by bringing women in. Okay, they want to try to do that. Okay, first of all, when there is a job, you get it because you're qualified. You don't try to purposely try to bring in more women or other minorities to get the job. All these affirmative action, these bonuses, that's really discrimination in my opinion. That's what you're really doing. And, this is what they are trying to do. They're trying to bring this notion that somehow we have to create a climate that the straight, European descent male who is Protestant has a lesser probability of getting hired. That's what they want to do. And here's the bottom line. Not only these quotas or whatever are not only discriminating against them, it's also biased against Korean men, Indian men, Iranian men. It's all about pumping up certain people to make it more diverse, to bring equity. So when you hear all this talk about equality, equity, think again. Because all it means is just pumping up certain individuals. That's just what I believe. Now, here is really what I'm really starting to notice. Because these employers, it's not just government employees, not just voting. There's just a lot of individuals, believe it or not, even companies that create this environment where they have to give affirmative action and bonuses to women. And, we constantly hear, we got to pump in more women. Women are making 70 cents dollar compared to men do. And what does this really do? Does this make the company more productive, more efficient? Is there any proof about that? Not necessarily. And what does this really do? It reduces the earnings and potential of male. Women are given more careers. They spend more time in careers, less time in family. And there's a study that happiness, productivity, society, family formations is ruined in the next several decades. That is the harsh reality that you have to understand. But this is the reality. It's an attack on the family. It's an attack on our values. This is what you have to really keep in mind. And so, again, speaking of diversity, why is it that it seems like 70% of the blackjack dealers in some hotels like the Palazzo are Asian, Filipino, Pacific Islander, whatever you want to call it? That's not diversity. Does it seem like they want to purposely hire them over white Americans or somebody else? Or American citizens? And we always say, well, we need the non-citizens to pick the crops. Well, it seems like a lot of non-citizens are working in jobs, particularly blackjack dealing, that could be done by American citizens. And they used to be done about those people back in the day. But then again, we need diversity. We need these people to pick their crops. We hardly have any crops here in Clark County. So that's not really diversity. What it really is, it's replacement. And the fact is, our real wages, in correlation to the cost of living, has barely gone up and actually has fallen in the last 4 decades. And our labor force participation rate for my age category is much lower than it was several decades ago. That is the harsh reality. You want to talk about gender and racial diversity? Well, let's talk about it this way. Maybe you, Mr. Murren, you should probably drop out because you keep promoting all this gender and racial diversity out of your CEO position. You're a straight white male, so why don't you just get out? This is the double standards that you have to really, really expose. And of course, this comes after, especially in Wynn Resorts, that now Mr. Wynn is gone, and now that he's probably sexist and all that, we got to pump in more women. Really? I guess it makes you think that the reason that they brought all these scandals and allegations is to pursue and perpetuate a certain cause. That's what this is all about. And by the way, let's get to the main topic that I really, really want to talk about, okay? I want to talk about the fact that why there is a good possibility that Steve Wynn, because I have a lot of respect for him, why did he resign from his position as CEO? And by the way, I really like his resorts. Sometimes I go to his buffet. Great, amazing food. And I think his services are much better than MGM resorts. But maybe the reason why I think that these allegations were brought up, which I have a good feeling they're exaggerated and false, because why weren't these allegations brought up in the 1970s and 80s? Why now? Well, it's mainly done so that perhaps they want to basically kick him out. And I heard rumors that MGM Resorts want to buy out Wynn Resorts. Ladies and gentlemen, they're trying to bring in scandals to deliver a takeover so they can buy up his properties and then basically have very little competition left on the Strip. That's exactly what they want to do, perhaps. Now, is this possible? I don't know. Mandarin Oriental was sold by another company, but we'll have to see. Could you imagine if they buy up the hotels that prices can go up? They'll probably charge more for parking. Think of the service that you will get. I mean, you got to understand, this guy Jim Murren, he's so scandalous. He's dumping lots of money into corrupt politicians, often both parties, but especially the Democrats. You have to look this up. We need antitrust laws to be enforced to break up these companies. Break it up. Put Mandalay Resort Group again. This is the man. It's on record. Look at the SEC reports. He sold shares of stock in September before the Route 91 disaster. I just heard a report from Sheriff candidate Gordon Martinez talk about the fact that there were multiple shooters in that event. You need to do an investigation about this. But this scandalous SOB is trying to get his arms in every realm of society. And it's just so frustrating. And I just hope in this gubernatorial race we don't have people like him running the show. This is what you have to understand. Look at the service that you're getting in many of these casinos. Not so friendly. You don't get the hospitality that you used to. So think about this. And by the way, this comes shortly after when Wynn just announced that he's adding another tower in his properties, Paradise Park, and he bought the land across the site, the former Frontier Hotel, and wants to build the Wynn West. So now they got like 4 towers that they can control, and they can just have their arms in every angle of society. And it's just so shameful that many of these hotel operators, they're not expanding their hotels even though they have high occupancy. They're not building as many as hotels as they used to. So they're creating scarcity. It drives up prices, which increases their chances of preserving the paid-for parking scheme. And they create this artificial scarcity. And by the way, if the stadium gets built, it's likely they're not going to keep up with capacity. And it's the same son of a gun they're probably doing with this housing development. They're not building it up, they're driving up prices, which I will talk about in another video. So it's just so shameful and disgusting. The management of the Strip and the hotels have got to change, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just getting very frustrated. Jim Murren needs to go. The entire structure of the Strip needs to be disorganized. And stop hiring based on identity. Start hiring on the content of character. Because when you do son of a gun things like that, you discriminate against people like me. And now they may want to promote transgender nonsense. I mean, really? Give me a break. Unbelievable. So anyway, if you buy out Wynn Resorts, I'm going to protest the hell out of you, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to file an antitrust case. Thank you so much. My friend Cyrus992, take care, spread this video, and let's keep Las Vegas rocking and rolling.